everyone, and welcome to part 2 of kind of my university experience. So this part is going to be based all around my course that I did while at university. If you haven't seen the first part, click here and you can go and watch it. If you're not interested in my uni experience, you just want to know about my course, I did a fashion design BA Honours degree. I chose to do this course because I'd been doing fashion design at college for 2 years and it was the best 2 years of my life. I really enjoyed it. We covered illustration, we covered like fashion journalism, we covered photography, CAD on the computers, just everything. So I totally loved it and it was just the natural step in that for me. So I looked into all the different universities that did my course and I decided on my university, like I said in the first video if you have seen it, based on the fact that my university seemed in the description to kind of carry on what I'd been doing in college, that we get to experiment with different mediums, we get to touch on like the photography aspect. I'm so sorry if you can hear banging and crashing, there's workmen downstairs but I need to get this video done. So yeah, I decided on my course and I decided on my university and everything was great. So the course seemed fine to begin with. I went there, the tutors seemed lovely, some people in the class were nice, or pretty much everyone in the class was nice I guess, and we had kind of different days for different things. So we went in one day and we was just on the sewing machines with this really lovely woman who was basically just teaching us how to use them. Now I already knew how to use the sewing machines, there was other people in the class that didn't, which is why we was doing it. So that part was totally fun, totally great. I learnt some new things that she taught us as well and that was great. It was kind of an extension of what we'd been doing at college. Then we was doing obviously designing a garment part, so we had to, I don't even remember what the project was, but I was looking at like mental health and how people with depression or just other mental illnesses are kind of putting on this smiling mask and it is all just going on inside of them without other people normally knowing. The noise coming from downstairs. So I was kind of going on with that and we was doing like toiles on the mannequin, which is where you kind of just use fabric and you pin it to a mannequin to kind of create a garment and see like the flowing shape you want and stuff. And I had one of the tutors come over to me, noise, and say that I should add like a knitted aspect to this garment, that it had like, I'm trying to think of words to use that aren't totally like fashiony so you can understand me, like a netty material on the skirt of it, of this dress, and she told me to like cut holes in it and pull knitted material through, whether that be like a cardigan that I cut up, or we had aspect to like knitting rooms as well, knitting machines. So I was like, oh okay, you know, I'll try it. Took pictures of my garment and then I got like an old cardigan, cut it up and pulled it through. So great, I carried on with the sketchbook working through, and eventually when we was like halfway through this project and we had to present it to the rest of the class, I got up and I presented it, and I have social anxiety, so I remember this was so hard for me. In front of the whole class she just said to me, why have you put knitted material on that? It looks disgusting, it looks cheap and it looks weird. So I just stood there and I was kind of shocked for a moment, and I kind of just said to her like, you told me to do the knitted aspect, you told me to change my garment, you told me to cut holes in it and pull this knitted fabric through, and you even saw me doing it. And instead of admitting to what she'd done, she then said, oh, no need to get defensive about it, and kind of put it back on me, and I had no idea what to say. And this isn't just me being defensive because I hated the way it looked. I knew that one, the garment wasn't the best I'd ever made beforehand, and two, it looked absolutely horrendous with this knitted fabric, but she had told me to include it, not recommended it, not told me to try it and see how it looks. She had told me to put it on my garment, and then to kind of call me out on it in front of the rest of the class was a little weird. but I kind of just got over it and I moved on and I thought, whatever. So the next experience I kind of had was when we did illustration, and they had a great illustrator coming from London College of Fashion, I believe they said she was from, to teach us. So we went in a separate room like once a week just with her and half of the amount of us. We was in like half classes, groups. So it was us, and we'd go in there and we would have like a mannequin with our garment on it and we'd draw it. So now I know this is not me, and I know this cannot be put on me being defensive, because everyone hated this woman and they were very vocal about it to the tutors. I'm really just going to have to ignore that banging. I'm so sorry, but I just, it's annoying me so much, but I want to record this video. So we would go into this room with her and we would be drawing the mannequins, and she'd work her way around the room and she would come up to you, and just, it would be that dreaded moment where you could feel her hovering next to you and you know that you're going to be her next target, and she would start screaming at you like, no, no, not like that, not like that, you're doing it wrong, it looks rubbish, blah blah blah. And then she would move on to the next person and do the same thing. There was no, why don't you try this? You could do this. She wouldn't tell you what you was doing wrong. She would just tell you that you're doing it wrong, it looks rubbish, and move on to the next person. Now everyone hated this woman, and a lot of the other girls asked the tutors if we could not have her anymore, but they said because she was from the London College of Fashion, she was great, and so we should be like privileged to have her teach us. So I didn't learn anything illustration wise during that time. So my final encounter, I guess, the rest was kind of pretty uneventful, good I guess, but my final encounter that I had, well, for one, between that time I had a knitting class with someone totally out of my fashion tutors group, you know. She just taught knitting. She was amazing and I enjoyed knitting so much. It was great, and she was a lovely woman. Okay, this is like my 6th time trying to carry on filming this video because of the noise downstairs. So I'm sorry if like the lighting and the angles changed. I'm doing the best I can, and I'm gonna try and talk over any subtle noises and just try and cut out the really loud ones. So I've completely forgotten where I was. Pretty sure I was talking about the knitting. So the knitting tutor woman was one of the nicest people there. Then the next incident, I guess we will call it, was in our next project, or it might have been carrying on from the first project, I can't remember, but anyway, I was making another garment and we was pattern cutting at this point. So if you don't know what that is, it's cutting out paper shapes basically that you then put on the fabric, and you cut out the fabric and you make the garment. So I was making my pattern and I needed to draw it out so the neck would come up and over the face kind of thing. Obviously I didn't know how to do it, because that's the whole point of university, it's meant to teach you. So I kind of asked how I would go about getting the look of this neck, and the woman looked at me while trying to walk off anyway and just leave me, and just said, go and get a book out from the library. Fine, okay, if you're busy, I get it, I will go and look in the library. But then there was a friend of mine, Victoria, who was foreign. Her English wasn't perfect, and so you would have to work through things a little slower with her to help her understand. Now, even in the sewing class where the woman was nice, and in pattern cutting class, I could see the tutors getting really aggravated with her, and some of them, especially the sewing one, was quite rude, and anytime she would ask a question they would completely ignore her and not even acknowledge the fact that she'd spoken, because they were getting so fed up that you'd have to work through things slower with her and they couldn't be bothered to do it. So in the end I was taking time out of me learning, because I would stop and I would help her, because I could see how upset she was getting that the tutors were just paying no attention. Now again, I get if you're busy, but don't accept foreign students into your university if you're not going to take the time to try and help them. And as such, around about the time I ended up leaving, she actually left too. So, you know, that's really not nice for her. She left for a whole other reason, because she just wasn't getting the help she needed, and they were being rude and totally disrespectful to her just because, you know, her English wasn't perfect. I could understand her, she could speak English and understand English, you just had to work a little slower. So anyway, yeah, during this pattern cutting I was told I had to go and get a book if I wanted to know how to do this certain thing with the neck, which I kind of get, but at the end of the day you're meant to be a tutor there. I kind of was expecting them to help a little bit and be like, oh, you know, you can kind of do this, you could do that, why don't you get a book as reference and work from that. That I could understand. Just totally kind of walking away from me and saying get a book from the library, not so much. So anyway, I worked on this dress myself, ended up making like a toile of it again, like a sample version. The same tutor this whole way through came up to me again. She was like, yeah, it's good, you know, I can see where it's going, the neck's good. She went, add something to it, like a big shoulder or a big poofy skirt, something. She said, because I want it to be weird for the sake of being weird. Like, what does that even mean? For one, I didn't go into fashion to make weird clothes. I went into fashion to be inspired by stuff around me and inspired by the research I'm doing, and to create a garment that is kind of reflected and become something from that. So for me to do that, and I mean it was weird anyway because it had this huge neck that came up like over your face, but despite that she was still like, I want you to make it weird for the sake of being weird. And it was at this point that I kind of thought to myself, is fashion design what I want to do? At this point I was really not enjoying the class, and I kind of just thought, if fashion design is going to be them always telling me to make some big thing that sticks off of it because they just want it to be weird, that is really not what I want to do. I just wanted to make clothes that I was inspired to make. So that was that. Everything put together, the bad course, the bad place I was at, the university, kind of depression and social anxiety as well, and the bullying, whatever, it all got too much and I wanted to leave. So I spoke to my tutor, who got mad at me and said that I would have to have a meeting with her and the head of the fashion department to discuss me leaving. So she told me this 5 minutes before I was meant to be getting a coach back home with my mum. My mum had come with me. This was after Christmas, after I decided I wasn't going back. So basically we was meant to be having like breakfast first and then going and get the coach, thankfully. So we only missed breakfast and we still managed to get the coach. But I had to go to this meeting where, for one, I was left standing around for 20 minutes waiting for the head of fashion to come. She was actually nicer about it, quite nice about it, so I'm glad she was there. But anyway, I went into this meeting, said I want to leave, and it was like the weirdest moment of my life. So we was discussing my point in the course, and she said to me, well, you're not good, are you, in this course, but you're not one of the bad ones either. So I was like, oh, that is such kind of a weird compliment slash really insulting thing to say. Because for one, you're saying, well, I'm not one of the struggling people in the class, but neither am I good, basically. So I was like, yeah, that's, you know, I'm not enjoying it, I'm not getting what I want out of it, I want to leave. So they turned around and said to me, you can't leave our course unless there is something big going on, unless there's like a specific reason in your personal life, something like that, that we decide is okay for you to leave. So at this point I was almost crying, I just wanted to go. So I kind of just said to them, my dad is ill, you know, that's been going on in my personal life, I hate the course, and it's just not working and I want to leave. My dad wasn't ill, but they said to me that basically that was the only way I was getting out of the course. So I said that, and still, instead of saying okay, we'll let you leave, she said, well, we'll like defer you a year or whatever it's called, which means they keep me on their system, and that the next year, so like next September, I come back and I try it again. I start it all again. That was not what I wanted. I didn't want to be at the university. I didn't want to do the fashion design course. So just to get out, because it was literally 10 minutes before my coach was coming, I was just like, yes, okay, fine. Left. It was only after that I realised that they have to pay money per student that leaves the course, or they lose all the money that I would have given. It was something money related, which was the whole point. They was trying to force me into staying in this course. But anyway, went back home and I just thought I will deal with it from back home. I can't do this anymore. It is so stressful. Whatever. At this point, I was speaking to Victoria. She had left at this point, and I asked her if she had to go through the same performance that I was going in and what she said to get out of the course. She said to me, I didn't even speak to the tutors. I went to the administrative office thing. They gave me a form to sign and that was it. I'm no longer a student. Just, I could not believe it. I had wanted to leave the course. I said I'd wanted to leave. I asked her what I had to do to leave, how I go about this. She told me I had to go for this meeting. Then they said I wasn't allowed to leave, basically. They were just going to put it off for a year. And all I really had to do was go and get this form. They were just so adamant about not letting me leave the course. And that was it. I was completely done. I was furious. So I just never spoke to them again. I got this form, signed it, and I was done. So just, I don't know, the whole experience is a very bad one in my mind because of how stressful it was to leave it, as well as just, I don't know, the rude treatment of people there. Like, it wasn't just me. Like I said, it was this girl Victoria who just, the tutors were just so rude to her all the time, not helping her at all. There was other people who were talking about changing the course because, like me, the fashion design course wasn't what we expected. Where I thought I'd be able to do illustration and a bit of photography and stuff as well. We did illustration with that woman, but that was the first year they said they'd really done that because they had this guest like lecturer come in and help us. But they said things like printmaking and all the facilities of the other course we weren't allowed to use. Yet when I went there for the open day, they said we was allowed to mix with the other courses and experience, you know, their learning way and kind of mix a bit so we get to know lots of different things, and that never happened. So I wanted to kind of tell my experience more in this video than I did in the other, because I didn't have a lot of experience with the university as a whole, but I really got to experience a lot with the course, as you just heard. So I don't want to ramble on too much, so I'm going to kind of go into little tips and things to think about when applying to university. So of course these are all course related, as I kind of did uni related stuff in the other video, but if you have any uni related questions you can still put them in the comments below if you want. So first things first, do you really want to do this for the rest of your life? Do you really want to do this subject that you're doing your degree on for the rest of your life? So maybe this is something that I should have thought through a bit more, though I was kind of deceived in my choosing of this course. So obviously I'm going to take this from a fashion point of view, because obviously if you're a doctor or a lawyer you have certain things that you go for. There's other academic subjects like that, sciences and whatever. But from, say, a fashion point of view, there was fashion, there was shoe, like fashion design, shoe design, illustration, textiles. That's like 4 that I can think of. There was probably more. Art-based subjects, you have like fine art. Again, like an illustration course, I guess. Mixed media courses, I have no idea of the names. I probably should have researched these. But just because you want to be an artist doesn't necessarily mean that an art degree, say, would be the best one for you. So I enjoyed fashion, so I'd done fashion design at college and I went on to do fashion design at university, but that really wasn't what I wanted to do. I enjoyed the illustration aspect of it. I enjoyed the photography. I enjoyed making the clothes, but I guess I hadn't really decided what road I wanted to go down with it, and because this course didn't allow me to experiment, it was literally just making clothes, it kind of cut me off, and that's where I didn't enjoy it. So really think about the course that you're going for. If you like painting, do you want to do an art course, do you want to do an illustration course? Really think about it, because it's easier to just choose the right course firsthand than to have to swap like a couple of terms in or something. So think about that. So this last kind of point stems from my experience with the course. So do you really think a university course is right for you? So like I said in my other video, I believe it was, I felt like I kind of had to go to university at the time. There was the possibility of internships, but they basically told us it would be very hard to get into. I think that's changed a bit more now. But my thing is, if you're relying on the help of your tutors and stuff when you go to university, if you prefer someone to show you how to do something, like show you how to do the pattern for a garment instead of having to get a book and figure it out yourself, university might not be the best place for you. Obviously it depends on what the university is, how many people in your class are going to affect that, because obviously it means your tutors are going to be more or less busy depending on the numbers. But I think you have to be willing to self-teach at university through getting these books. Whereas if you was to go out and even just do like courses online and stuff, yeah, you're teaching yourself, but for one, you're not paying the ridiculous amounts of money to do it, but you know you're teaching yourself. You're not going to university with a tutor just to teach yourself. You know what's happening. You can go to small classes. You know, there's stuff like that, art classes. It's not necessarily just fashion I'm talking about anymore, that you could do, or there are internships. Now an internship, you're gonna learn the same basic skills, because obviously it's learning on the job, but you're gonna have someone there who is showing you how to do it. In an internship, it's not gonna be, you need to do this, go and look at a book to teach you how to do it. That's not how things work. So you need to think about what it is that enables you to learn. Is it hands-on approach, someone showing you how to do something and then you doing it, or are you better looking at books? I am better with someone showing me how to do something. I pick it up really easily and I can do it myself, but if I'm looking at a book, I have no idea what I'm looking at and it's hard to do. So that aspect didn't work for me. Now of course I'm not trying to put you off like a university course at all. You could go and it could be the best time of your life and it could be the best course ever, and you obviously do get a degree at the end of it which kind of goes on your CV, and I mean it kind of gives you that basis to then go on and get jobs. But obviously if you do an internship you've got experience to back you up. So again, something to think about. But yeah, I don't want to put you off a course, I just want to give my honest opinion of university, because I wish I had heard negative point of views about uni before I went on to do it. I'd only heard about how amazing it was, what a great time it was, and so I wanted to put my view out there. So I hope you don't think I'm trying to like thrust my bad attitude of uni at you. I'm just trying to help some of you maybe think about all sides of it and help you really decide on the course you want to do and the uni you want to go to, so that you don't make the same mistakes I did and end up leaving after 3 months but still be in debt like 3,000 and something pounds. So yeah, I hope neither of these videos were too long. If they were, I'm sorry, but I hope you enjoyed them anyway, and I hope you got something out of them, some sort of knowledge I suppose. So any questions you're welcome to put in the comments and I will try my best to try and answer any of them. If you liked this video, give it a little thumbs up and maybe subscribe down there. And I will see you in the next video. I promise next video is going to be like a lookbook. I've got something planned. So I will see you then. Goodbye.